you know me, that sometimes you hear me or you only see me, but today I invited a beautiful guest, and we had this little talk, little chat before what I normally do, to connect the heart. So the our conversation will be even more powerful. But with this beautiful woman, I was having this little introduction, and then I felt we don't need an introduction. We're gonna just do it completely live, the female way, as authentic as possible, not prepared, just connecting the hearts and create magic. So thank you, Natalie, for jumping on this adventure with me. I'm honored to have you, and it's quite extraordinary because it's Australia meeting Amsterdam.
Yeah, it is. I'm very happy to be here, and it's exciting because we have just met each other. So
Yeah.
hello, nice
Hello.
to meet you. Yes.
And if you're wondering right now, but if you guys just met, why are you together on a podcast? And why are you so confident that it will be an added value? And how does that work? Let me just step into that before we start. We are basically working with the same mentor. We're in the same field. We're following each other for a long time. What I realized being in that field is we're all kind of the same and a little different. And there is so much trust. Every single woman I have met so far in AFE are just extraordinary. And you post a lot, you share a lot about your life and your work, Natalie, and I was just drawn to it right away. So for me, it was crystal clear. I need to have that woman on my podcast, and I just want to listen to her. I want to bring her vibes into the world, because that's what we do in the female way. We provide a platform for women who have something to share.
So beautiful. I get all the goosebumps, which is always sort of like a recognition of truth. It's like your soul nodding, going, yes, yes, yes. And yeah, we are so lucky to all sort of be in this online world where you're in Amsterdam and I'm in Australia. And I was saying before in the 1 minute we had to meet each other that I'm usually living in Copenhagen. So I'm back here on the other side of the world in the Australian winter, which feels like very much like a Danish summer because it's so warm out here. But I'm still rugged up with a jumper on actually. So it's
What
great
time
to
is
be.
it now, Natalie, where you are?
It's 7 p.m. at night here.
7 p.m. And in which city are you, or village?
In a village. I'm in Sydney.
Are you
Big
in Sydney? You're
sprawling
in the big
Sydney.
city.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
beautiful. Wow. So it's
Yeah.
11 o'clock Amsterdam meeting, Sydney, 7 p.m.
Yes. So we've been here now. I've got 4 children, but 2 of them are actually still back in Denmark because they're quite, they're 21, 17, and they're there. Yeah. And so I've got the little ones who are 7 and 9, and my husband, who is pediatric cardiologist, and we're actually here for his work this year. But I've been so lucky to be able to take what I do with me, just folded my laptop up and opened it back up again. And that's what I love about this incredible online world where we can work. It's where I can still give this therapy and coaching to my clients all over the world. That's been amazing. Yeah.
Wow, so beautiful. And I want to tap into you and your world a little bit more. You say you have 4 children. And can you share a little bit more about your family and your how does your life look like?
Yeah, so I have a 21-year-old. He is very musical, very, very bright, very multi-talented, very emotionally intelligent young man. I'm very proud of him. I had Lachlan when I fell pregnant at 22. And so I almost feel like of my children, he's like my little brother, even though he's my son, and we're very close. Then I have my daughter, Sienna, who's 17. She's a redheaded raven beauty. And she's also very creative and quirky and interesting and very generous. And so they're both over in Copenhagen. Yeah, she's studying. And then I have the 2 little ones. so I was married before. They're from my previous marriage, the big two. And now I'm remarried to Anders, who is a pediatric cardiologist. And we have two little, very Scandinavian looking, blonde-headed, blue-eyed babies together who are just have started school in Australia. They could speak English kind of okay before, but now they've been thrown into the deep end, and they're going really well. We're just enjoying this year and really making the most of it, because it's not going to be forever. So every weekend we're like, right, where are we going? What are we doing? We're off to the Blue Mountains, or we're going up to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's kind of how things look for us over here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're both in the same business. We're coaching women and men who are in the field doing the work, are on a mission. You work a lot with celebrities, known people. Can you share a little bit more? Like, how did you end up in this business? Are you here since a long time? Was it an inner calling? What happened?
Oh, yeah. It has been an inner calling since I was really young. Like, I remember being about 15, 16 years of age. I was right into Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra. I was reading all that stuff as a teenager. It was just, and I remember having a thought once, almost like a postulate, that I think one day I might be like Louise Hay. I don't know how. I've no idea how I'll get there, but it was a thought that I think that's going to be part of my journey to help people know that they're good enough. I felt that was to help people know they're lovable. And so that was always there. And I was always interested in the subconscious mind. I remember going to a seminar of this man called Michael Temecchio Rowland, who recently passed away a couple of years ago, but his work is incredible. And he was the one who taught me first about the subconscious and how powerful it is. And I thought, back of my mind, that's where I want to end up. Long and winding road, singer-songwriter journey as well along the way. And even as a singer-songwriter, it was still with the purpose of letting people know they're good enough. Like, my paragon of a song was Everybody Hurts by REM. I thought, I love this song because how many people, I wonder, have continued living, should we say, because of that song. It's so powerful music. And in my own music, it was always about letting people know in one way or another, they're not alone, and they're lovable and they're good enough. So years passed, and I ended up training in a modality called Rapid Transformational Therapy. I was working in the corporate world, but I was so miserable because I just had this very strong calling. I'm meant to be helping people. I had a psychology degree, but just the bachelor in psychology, and I couldn't really do much more with it. I went to Copenhagen University and said, hello, I've got this degree. Can I possibly turn it into an honors degree and become a clinical psychologist? And they went, no, sorry, we've got already all our own bachelor students and they're going to go into the master's and honors program. So there's not much we can do. So traipsed away with my little degree and went, okay, well, I really want this. And then somehow it was all just, I saw Marissa Peer, who ended up being, one of the greatest mentors of my life, and her method, Rapid Transformational Therapy. And once I learned about that, I just knew that's what I had to do. And so I trained with Marissa in this amazing therapy, which is a sort of super hypnotherapy. It combines inner child work. We go back, timeline therapy. It's all about getting to the root cause of an issue and undoing it back where it happened. It's a bit like, I always say to clients, it's just like Back to the Future. You're going to get in the DeLorean and you're going to go back in time and you're going to fix it where it happened. And by fix, I mean, we can't change what happened, but it's not what happened that's hurting us. It's the meaning we've given it. And with your adult understanding, if you could go back in a time machine and change the meaning, everything would be different in your life. And that's what I help people to do at the subconscious level, change the meanings that they've given to their life events that have ended up shaping who they are. Because we create our beliefs in childhood, usually between the ages of 0 and 7. And that ends up shaping all of our choices, our beliefs, who we believe we can become. And I like to set people free of the shell they've created to protect themselves, so they
So
can
interesting. It's beautiful. I just have a very burning question listening to you, because I totally agree. And you want to set people free, you know, this armor, what they're carrying with them, and often they don't know. And so it's amazing the work you do. And I've been reading, I know Marissa Peer well, and I've been reading about you and that you use this method. So I just want to share something with you and hear your opinion about it. I've been working with Joe Dispenza a lot last year. I've been trained with and by him, and I will leave to Mexico in a couple of weeks again to work with him. And his approach is, I mean, in the core, it's the same, you know, to set yourself free from what happened in the past. So but he says is when you take the emotion off, only wisdom will be there. So you can make a choice to bring your future self into the now and leave the past for the past, and without digging into it anymore. What is your opinion about it? What is your look at that if you hear this compared to your approach?
I think in a way there are similarities, because rapid transformational therapy is not about rehashing the past. It's not, because we're not going to rehash it. We're going to go in, we're going to find out what happened. And the feeling, the emotion is really important. What are you feeling? And because of this feeling and the confusion that you're feeling in this moment, what are you making it mean? And it's that meaning then that's created through the strong emotional response that we undo. And then the emotion clears and you've changed the meaning. And then you don't even need to look at it again. It's sort of like it's in my history book. And if I really want to go back and read what's there, I can, but it's not going to keep coming up because I've put it to bed and it's over, it's done with. We don't have to talk about it next Friday and the next Friday and the next Friday. It's done.
And when they go back, when you take them on a journey back to basically transform that what happened there on the emotional level, are they able to leave it after that one time you've been together and went down the road, or is it then stirred up again?
I talk a lot about this concept of us shedding skins. So, and Melanie talks about this too. I remember her saying, you've only got one past for your mind to use to throw stuff at you to hold you back as you grow. Because as we grow, I find, and I don't know if you find this too, but I know my clients do, and I've certainly seen it in my own life, that as I've grown, it's like my mind goes, and that's quite far enough. I'll let you go this far, and now we're going to hit at the edge of the current comfort zone. It's like the skin of the snake will stretch as far as it will, and then it's going to have to be shed, or you're not growing anymore. Like they're your options. Or like a tree with its bark. The bark will hold a certain amount of growth, and then it's like, okay, we're going to have to shed this bark now to let the new bark come in to allow for even more growth, or not grow at all. And I think a similar principle happens within us, where we hit these comfort zones. And when we do, and it can be with visibility, it can be with levels of self-trust, it can be with levels of integrity, like how much are you willing to stand for yourself and disappoint another to not disappoint yourself. And also financially and with love, how much are you willing to receive? And I think these are 4 ways that we tend to be stretched, or that we want to grow, and then how we pull ourselves back. And so I find that sometimes you will revisit things, but from a new level of awareness.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, from a new level of awareness. Yeah.
And so you might revisit the same old thing that you're like, oh, this story again. But it's with new understanding, new awareness. And then you reinterpret the story at an even greater level of awareness than you had before. And whoop, now we've got a big roomy skin to grow into. And that's how I've been approaching my growth in that way, like a snake.
Beautiful. Our beloved Fia, she has a beautiful song about it, Shredded Skins. Do you know her, Fia? Singer-songwriter?
I don't.
She's an artist. I think she's either she's from Copenhagen or from Stockholm. Well, she's from Scandinavia.
Okay, I'll have to look her up.
Yeah, she has a
Yeah.
beautiful song, Shredded Skin, which I always play for my clients when we do this kind of work. So,
Oh, wow. I'll
wow.
definitely need to hear that
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And we are in the fields and we're working with Melanie and we are with so many coaches. And I do believe the world is in need for many, many more coaches. Don't get me wrong. But what makes you extraordinary and different than the others? Because even though the world needs more coaches, because we are in a collective transformation and you don't have to do it alone anymore. So it's just very beautiful. But even more, it's important that we bring out what makes us special and why me or why you or why someone else.
Mm. So it's all about our own journey and our own story and the unique wisdom that we've gained along the way. And there's a Ram Dass quote that says we're all just walking each other home. And so I think we're all a certain way along in our own journey. And there are those who are, and as we move forward, we're leading. And then there are those who are sort of, 2 years behind where I used to be, who are like, how have you got there? And so in that way, as a mentor, I have a lot to offer. The other big area that I haven't spoken about yet that's been a huge part for me is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Women's hormones sort of activating or magnifying unhealed trauma. That's my really big message. And that's where the legacy that I've created so far is the Red Tent. And it's a program for those who notice premenstrual emotional upheaval. And I think there are different degrees of it. Some are suicidal, others are like highly, highly irritable, and it's debilitating, but they move on and push through with it. Mm-hmm. So my whole message about this, because if you go to the doctor with this, they'll just say, here, take some antidepressants for the luteal phase, or try this birth control so we can just flatten out your cycle altogether. Or if it's really bad, we can put you on the waiting list for a hysterectomy. And this is what's on offer in the medical world. Whereas the way I look at it is completely different. It tends to affect artists and healers. So maybe a lot in our world are actually suffering with this and maybe listening right now going, oh my gosh, this is me, because it used to be me for over a decade. And that's, my journey that I can now help others with. And there are 3 factors to it. There's the hormonal shift, which happens when the estrogen plummets. There is the sensitivity and creativity that most of my clients who are diagnosed with this tend to have. The artists and the healers. They're like 20% of my clients when I was specializing in this particular area were nurses. Big hearts, big empathy, a lot of, healing types, yoga instructors, coaches, therapists, artists, singer-songwriters, all these kinds of beautiful women. And then the third thing is the trauma. And you don't need to get rid of your cycle by having a hysterectomy or taking birth control. You don't need to numb your sensitivity by taking antidepressants. You need to heal. And at the subconscious level, doing this with rapid transformational therapy. And I'm not saying that's the only way, any sort of deep subconscious full being healing will heal this box of pain that is being magnified by the hormonal shift. And this was sort of my own experience. And I thought, well, this has happened for me. I have to at least talk about this. And then before long, I had 5 women to go through this sort of the program that I created based on my own experience, and they all healed from PMDD and are still free of it until this day. And now since then, I've had hundreds of women go through this program and be free of premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's like, I wish more people knew. I wish I could put it across the sky and go, you don't have to get a hysterectomy, because a lot of people do, because it's that, or they're afraid they're going to actually take their own lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we should put it in the sky. Hey.
Yeah.
Wow, it's very beautiful.
I was writing plane yesterday and thought, I don't know how much it would cost.
No,
Yeah,
but this is amazing. I mean, wow. Yes, a lot of us are suffering with it, and I'm already happy, and now I know why I wanted you on the podcast, because this is a big message, and there are extremely amazing women listening to the podcast, and a lot. We're growing exponentially, so I'm very, very happy. I even had a client. She's a very known psychotherapist in this country, and she basically blocked her agenda on certain days because she could not function, like not. It was the devil just crawled under her skin and took over her whole being.
Yes, that's a really good way to describe it.
Yeah.
I used to say it's like my blood has just turned to tears. It's like it feels like a chemical hijack or a spiritual hijack or something. It doesn't feel like you.
No,
And
that's the thing. It doesn't feel like you. You're just becoming someone else. It's like the devil took over.
yeah, but what I discovered is it's not the devil. It's a very, very, it's an inner child in a lot of pain.
Mm.
Yep. That's what it is. And this thing you're hating that you wish you could just cut out of yourself and run away from and throw away. Like I used to say to my partner, like, just leave. If I could leave me, I would, but I'm stuck with this.
Yeah.
But that's what it feels like. But I realized I couldn't run because it wasn't the devil. It wasn't a demon. It was a part of me that was in a lot of pain that needed rescuing. And that was, and
what needed attention.
Yeah, needed attention, needed to be listened to, needed to be healed.
Yeah.
And that's where everything changes. And I think for me, there was a long time where I was very much in victimhood, going, this is so bad. Like, why do I have to have this? It's not even, it's not me, saying it's not me. And my husband said to me, it is you, though. Like, you may not like it, but it's not anything else. It's inside of you. It's you. It's part of you. And I was like, oh God, I really don't want to accept that. But I did. And then I got to this point where I just looked in the mirror one day and I just into my own eyes and said, no one is coming to save you. It is going to have to be you. And then everything started to change. And then, rapid transformational therapy came into my life. I didn't take the program thinking, oh, this will fix my problems. Or I was one of those empathetic, creative artist healers of the world who also happened to have this PMDD problem. But I really wanted to help other people and let everyone know that they were enough. But in the whole journey of it, I also needed to heal that in myself. So, yeah.
Amazing. I'll find her details. She just contacted me the other day. Maybe she could work with you.
Yeah, I work with all kinds, all around the world, Amazing. And it's such a, yeah.
And is it only therapy? What is your approach? Is it mentoring? Is it together with an online program? How do you work?
Well, you can work with me one-to-one, and for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and actually for everything, I wouldn't call myself primarily a coach. I think of myself mostly as a rapid transformational therapist, hypnotherapist. I'm a therapist. I go in and we do deep stuff at the subconscious level. I do also coach. I have a program called Walk With Me, which is sort of just by invite only. And we do have a monthly coaching call where it's very intuitive, and I'll bring in any tool that I feel is right for the moment. But for PMDD, we can't just talk our way through it or have a chat about things or, give you some, conscious tools. It has to go deep. And so I have clients who work with me one-to-one for this. It's usually 1 or 2 RTT sessions. That's the amazing thing. People think, oh, so this is going to take, what, a year? And I go, no. We'll be done in 1 or 2 months and you'll be free of it. And then I also have this online program called the Red Tent, which makes it more accessible to many, where there's guided RTT sessions within it, which is quite an amazing thing. It's best I call it guided transformational hypnotherapy, because RTT is really a one-to-one thing, but it's got many elements of the healing tools within it in the online program. And I use metacognitive psychology as well, which is a way of really, I don't know if you've worked with that before, but it's just stopping worrying and ruminating and really coming back to the present through observing your thoughts and going, I don't have to think every thought that comes into my head, and becoming aware of, what does this worry think it's doing for me? Well, it thinks that it's solving the problem for me, but it's not. I'm stuck on it. Okay, so it's not solving the problem. Or I have to worry about this because, then I'll be prepared. Okay, so you've been worrying about this for a week now. How prepared do you feel? No, underprepared still. Okay, not really preparing then, is it? It's questioning the motives of the thoughts and then going, is that actually what the thoughts are doing for you? And that's a very empowering process too. So I use both in the process of the healing PMDD. But it works for everything, it improves every person's life. It just happens to work very well for this diagnosis too.
Nice. I think women or men, there are also a lot of men who are listening to the podcast, and often they give it to their sister or their mother or their girlfriend. So everyone is always welcome here. It's very clear what you do. You're very good in explaining. But I also want to give it a little bit more personal sauce to wrap it up with. So what can we wake you up in the night, Natalie? What is your favorite food or favorite thing in the world?
Oh, my favorite, like in the sort of, not for work, but what would I like to eat in the middle of the night?
For what can I wake you up in the night?
So many things. We're going for champagne and oysters.
You're that kind of woman. Okay.
I love that. But the thing that I used to say for that was, if we're going on a water slide. Any time of day. I love water slides. I'd love to go on water slide any time of day. I don't know, as I've got older, that's maybe not my number one on the list now, but when I was younger, that was my favorite.
Wow.
Yeah, to hop on a plane, to go travel somewhere, to go and do something that's a complete surprise. If you said, I've got a surprise for you, wake up and be like, where are we going? You'll find out when you get there. I'd get up for that. Yeah. Many things I'd wake up in the middle of the night for, I think. Just yeah.
Can you name two more things?
Very good sex I'd wake up for.
I like that.
And if one of my children needed me, of course.
Oh, I like that. So I would love to, on the female way on the platform, we share interesting women in the world where with their work. So I want you to think about that, and then we'll also offer something from you. So for anyone who's listening right now and you're curious to, after listening to this beautiful woman, she's been around, she has a lot of knowledge and she knows what she's doing. We will make sure that there is something that you can, like a taster or something short, and you can work with her.
What's just come to my mind is this. It's actually, because when I do rapid transformational therapy, I'm taking people back. But I created something. I thought, what if we went into hypnosis and we went forward and we could visit our older self, not our inner child, but our inner 84-year-old or 80-year-old. And it's a journey to your wiser self. And it's really beautiful. And so many people, it's very simple.
Didn't we do that with Melanie in one of her guided meditations?
Say that again.
Didn't we do this with Melanie as well? In one of her guided meditations, we went to visit our wise woman in a cave.
Oh, I think that's the goddess journey to find your goddess, and that was powerful too. But this is your old lady self. She's lived your life. She's got to the end more or less, and she's there to be able to. It's a beautiful thing. So many clients have just said, oh, I was just in tears because I felt so loved and I felt so encouraged and I felt like everything's actually going to end up okay.
I want to do that. I think I like that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you and you can share it with everybody, and yeah, you're welcome to experience that.
I love that.
Journey to your inner self. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to do that. Amazing. I always have this picture of, I think she's 108 now, and she's from Vietnam. And she looks amazing. And she often appears on Instagram. And every time I see her, I'm like, oh, and she was not so long ago, she was on the front cover of the Vogue magazine. Do you know
Oh,
that one?
yes, I saw her. Oh, she's stunning. Yes, so beautiful. And
I
it's
always say,
the
that's me, that's me, that's me.
Oh, that's great. That is a great thing to tell your mind that that's
Yeah,
going to be me.
that's
I'm
me.
108 and I'm beautiful and I'm wise and my eyes are like crystal. That's me. You know, that's a beautiful thing.
Well, I'm
There are,
already super proud. I'm 46. I have zero gray hairs. I have zero wrinkles. So I'm like, and I find myself prettier than way before.
yeah, and that's lovely to, I think getting older is so nice because you just go, I don't have, all of the hang-ups just disappear and you just, the wisdom is what matters most. But I find the more work that I do, there's a glowingness that comes through the skin. Like Dr. Seuss says, if you think beautiful thoughts, then they will come out through your face like sun rays or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think through all the healing work I do with people, sometimes I come out of a session and it is literally like divine light coming out of my pores. I'm like, oh, because there's something very beautiful that's working through me, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it does light you up, this work that we do. So
Yeah.
keeps us young. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do have a question for you, something I was contemplating on the other day. If you're doing, I was asking a therapist, girlfriend of mine, the same question. When we do healing work with our clients and we bring them to deep spaces or we go into deep trauma work, how do you make sure that your nervous system doesn't think that it's repeating and it's your problem, but
I
you
think,
can still serve the client?
yeah, I had to learn early on, because when you're very empathetic, you know, you can take your client to bed with you that night. And I learned very early on, honey, if you're going to help people, this is not going to work. And I don't know what happened or when, but I really did do the cutting of the cord in some way. And actually, I just handed the whole thing over to the universe.
Yeah.
And I reminded myself, hey, they have this incredible life force working within them, this most beautiful divine intelligence working within them. Let go. You've done your part. And I really got quite clear with that on myself. And it's amazing. Like, I can have sessions and within a few hours I go, what was that this morning? Like, I've dropped it. I could look at my notes and go, oh yeah, that's right. But as far as carrying it with me the rest of the day, I go,
yeah.
And I do a lot of, back in Denmark, I have a hot tub and a sauna and a cold plunge pool in my back garden. And I will often, after a session, just go in and do, that back and forth, like cold, cold. And I have a massage quite often, like just getting I try to, I always say, if you want to serve at a high level, you have to receive at a high level. You have to treat yourself like the most beautiful machine that needs oiling and maintenance and care, so that it works well for those you're serving. And so that's how I do it. I don't feel at all burdened. And the other important thing to know is the whole message of, it's not what's happened to you, it's what you made it mean. And I go back and change the meaning. And so they're free. So yes, something horrible happened in the past, but that's over. And the meaning has now been changed. And they're free. And they know they're lovable and worthy and enough and safe. What's the problem? And that, I think, is a big part of it too. I focus on the freedom. Yeah.
Let's bring more freedom and set them free. Bring more freedom in the world and set them free. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with me, with us, and with everyone out there. This was just a very beautiful conversation. And like I said, for anyone who's listening or watching on YouTube or catching the replay, if you want to know more, just check in with the Female Way and we'll tell you everything about Natalie and where you can find her. For now, Sending you so much love
You
until
too.
we meet again. Thanks, love.
Thanks so much, Humita. Have a great day.